In this video, we're going to continue with the where we left out, and that was by designing the new cashbook transaction list view that shows the unsubmitted um, transaction, through the presenter. So our aim is to complete and get to this point. So we're still here, and we're going to now move forward to the next stage. And the next stage is that we want to implement this new button implementation so that from here you can create a new record. At the end of the day, we should have the thing looking also like this with all the rules in place. So let's review the code of this view before we start to the next view. Now, I said there were some things necessary for the presenter pattern. Essentially, 4 items, 3 will be declared and 1 will be implemented. So those are the things for the presenter. The ability to intercept an item that was selected, the click event. Let me use the word the click event of the grid, the list view control. The controller of that is this. So these are the 2 buttons that represent delete and submit. Then the ability to listen to the click event of the new button is controlled by this controller. Because we're adding these 2 buttons in code, not through a designer, we must specify a container for it. Now, this is a pointer to a variable that we eventually tell the presenter that this is the row we have selected when we want to edit. So by the time we click this, somehow we need to tell the presenter that we have clicked this. So but we'll look at it as we move forward in any case. So the next lines, this is where the presenter tells us there's an error. This is where the presenter tells us that this is the list of unsubmitted cashbook transactions, and we have decided to implement a pattern. Instead of writing code in this view implementation, we would rather call function. So this function is in charge of offloading what is coming as a list of cashbook transaction items into what will be connected to this screen, the list view. And if we just take a look at it, the object of concern here is view.collection source. This is a pointer to the buckets, so to speak, that is a container for anything you want to show on the list view. So if you want to manipulate data from the list view perspective, this is us clearing the list just in case there was data field. We clear it first, then this is the code for going through all the transactions that was passed into it by the presenter. And all this act here is to fulfill the records that are the fields that are required in the list view. So this is the implementation of the list. We call it reload list. Then anywhere you see this, the presenter is trying to ask who you are. So these are the interfaces that the presenter pattern actually needs implemented from here to here. Now, this is the constructor of this our controller. The constructor is just the first initialization code of every class. So what are we doing here? We are initializing the container for the buttons. This is the code to initialize the delete button, the code to initialize the submit button. Then we are doing scoping of the controller, pointing to the model we want to control on the view, pointing to the particular view that we want to control, and giving extra information that is in this view. Then, of course, we are now instantiating the presenter. So the only part that might be looking at is this word this here. This is here because the controller is now, as far as the presenter concerned, is now a view because it has implemented this interface. That is why part of the requirement of the controller is the view it is controlling. And that is why we have this statement. So we'll discuss this one. Then the first event that fires in the life of a controller is the unactivated event. So inside it, we're now initializing the presenter. This is us telling the presenter that go ahead and initialize the view. So uh, then the whole of this code is to prepare us to be able to intercept a click event of the list view. That is what the whole of this code is for. I told you in some video past that every controller that you want to manipulate on your own custom controller, because we have inbuilt controllers and custom controllers. This is a custom controller I'm building because I'm the one building it. But something like this that you use to intercept click event is an inbuilt custom controller. It comes with the framework. So this is a handle into that controller, and for good practice, you check whether it is not null. Then this is the subscription to the event of click. When you click any row there, it is called custom process selected item. So, and this is a pointer to the function we will run for that event. Then this is the initialization of how we are going to intercept the new button. So every other thing is the implementation of everything I said here. Here, the intercept opens up a new view. Here, the controller of the new, we are saying that anytime new is clicked, please run this function, which is here. So what are we doing? We are opening the view, the new view. So every other thing is straightforward. So that is a review of what we did in achieving that. So in order to do this now, this code already we have intercepted it. So that's why it's showing this view. So what we need to do now is to do the controller for this view because we want to bring data to the view now and everything. So we're going to come here. This time around, we're going to create cash book transaction view model. This was the list view controller. Now we're using this template of a view controller. If you watch the last video, I used the normal class to do the list view controller, but I always use the template to do the one for. So this is cash book transaction view model detail view controller. Might look long, but that's the naming convention. So you can see this type of controller that I picked from the template has like a designer. So here, if I want to add buttons on it, I don't need to go and use code. I will just come to the toolbox and I will see the button and then drag. When it finishes initializing, I will show you. So right now, let's scope this controller to this particular screen. So start by clicking the target object. This is, we are saying that the object that we want to control, the view we want to control should be a view that is hosting this object. And scoping is a very, very important thing because it can be a source of bugs for you. If you don't scope it well, you will just be seeing funny behaviors in the system. So we're talking of the cash book transaction view model. And the view that we want to control, I know the name, but I normally don't want to type it. I want to go straight to the application model and copy it there. Cash book transaction view detail model. But you can see it's just the name of the model underscore the type of view, which is a detailed view. So that's why I said you can type it, but to show you where you can also get the ID. So we have scoped this controller now to this view. The next thing is to identify the presenters that is needed for this interface. I know that in the initial implementation, in the business objects of what represents that screen, in the bad design, I had defined everything inside the model, the business object, which was a bad design. So right now, I'm going to pick from here. I want to go and implement the interface. Explain in past videos that the way this thing works is that when you decide to where you want to control, you need to go and look for the presenter that is the gateway to the database for you, the particular presenter. So this is all we need to, everything we need to implement in this particular scenario. So let's start. Now, this is what we bring the list of cash books. So what do we want to do when we receive the list of cash books? We want to, since it's not really much logic, I can implement it here because it's not much, I know. Now, we want to get a handle on the current object, which is supposed to be the new view model, which is the cash book transaction view model. So we will go to review. Anytime you are in the context of a controller, a view controller of this type, there's always, sorry, there's always a view. It's not giving me, okay, let me do this dot. Oh, sorry. This is why. So I have to do this dot view dot current object. Then we cast it to the cash book transaction view model because that's the current object that we're in. The object is always tied to the screen. In fact, in this framework, the object is the screen. So where this is us asking a handle that we want to start manipulating the screen, and we're going to manipulate it through that object. So once we have a handle on the object, what we want to do is we want to go to the current object, and there's the cash book the header list, transaction head list, yes, call it head list, equals to what the presenter is passing to you, which is a list of these objects. Then I'm going to use a link construct called select, and inside we will just return this type of object. That is what the header list is. It's a list of this type of object that is going to contain the list of cash book transaction heads. So, like I said, I don't like to. So what I'm just doing is translating that object to the coming from the presenter into the one we need in the framework. Equals to the two list here. So this is the code. So what we're doing here is we're setting this property, which is the list of heads, transaction heads. I call it head list. So by the time this is done, this by the time we're through, that is what will be responsible for putting the list items in this place via the presenter. Then this is the selected cash book transaction head ID. When the system wants to get it, now let me write another version of this view object so that I can. So I want to be able to, sorry, let's be implementing this one. So what we want to do is we want to give the value in the current object. The value of the transaction head ID. That is what we want to return. ATM means that the presenter wants to collect that data from the UI, which is from the object. And the setting is the same thing. Setting, I want to say some of this, okay, the setting, okay, so let me check something. This is the sub transaction head. This one is going to carry something like this also. So, but this time around, it's the sub head list. Same thing. Then this one is very similar to this one. Very similar to this one. The only difference now is that we're talking of subhead. This will also be similar to, so, so transaction. This one will be similar to this one. This time around, cash book classification, right? And it's like the object of the classification is different. It's the same thing. Oh, okay. This one, I don't know, I must have used. Problem is, I used another structure for this, so the best thing is for me to define this one is for, oh, sorry, the list that I am looking for, transaction classification list here. Then this one is similar to this one. Time around classification. This one similar to this one. This time around classification. Then document number. There's a consistency in what we're doing. Virtue of naming convention. Says actually this is where the work is for presenters that have a lot of properties. This is where once we are through with the implementation, it's like that is the only thing we need to do essentially. Then this one is close to this one. Okay, sorry, this is still not. So this one is still the cash book. So this one is for. It is closer for us to take this one, put it here. Then we have the cash book, and beside it we have the use the code, but this time around I'm going to use long pass. Because it's long that it is expected. Then the setting also uh, I just remembered something. IDs actually very important. If you don't put the ID, so what we do is we cast this one back to an integer. We don't put the ID, it's not going to work. Well, the code here contains also the ID, but all that will get to the bottom of it when we are testing it. So this is closer to this one. Then here, constant security system. It is because of this particular field that is why the interface will not bring transactions of other MDAs to the same interface. So this one is closer to this one. Then the error message is to be propagated back to the UI. Then the budget code is closer to this. Where is it? Budget code will come from the UI. With the structure inside the budget code. Then there's selected customer ID. This one is also close to this. And this one. The list. Okay. All right. So we finished implementing the presenter. The view. So let me get the remaining items that we need in this interface. We need all this. Yes. We need this again because it's now part of the controller. All we just need is the presenter, and go back to, let me go to this last presenter I did for the list, and go and copy this initialization code. So the presenter we want is this guy. So in the activated, we now want to say presenter dot emit, which is the function to tell the presenter to initialize the UI. For now, we will not bother about controlling anything. Let's just see if the data will come to the UI. 6. Operation is not implemented. Sorry. Okay, let's check it. The controller is, we're intercepting, this is the new operator. This is the error again. The operation method is not implemented. Okay, let's see debug mode. Oh, okay, okay. The method of operation is not implemented. Okay, let me see. So, going to I'm trying to investigate where the error is coming from. Get drop down, can be drop down. Okay, okay. Because I also noticed that I didn't see where I implemented cashbook transaction lists. Classification is here, but see the error. I didn't implement this. So I was looking for it to at a particular time. I felt I didn't see where I'm expecting data to fill the dashboard drop down. So function F6 to start it again because we have it's in debug mode. There's an error. There's an error. Oh, okay. For the cashbook drop down, it doesn't have a definition for this. So what we do is we take this there and we start. Sorry, I know I have to first take it to one because of the number of digits of those cashbook. Somehow the int is always too small to pass the 10 digits code. So I first take it to log, then I will now take it to int from there. So we go to cashbook transaction new, get reference here. Let's debug. Okay, so the breakpoint. Get selected. Okay, what is it calling get? Why is it calling get? So, transaction is so why is it selecting the transaction type? Why is it calling it point of initialization? Just click wait a minute. Wait. I think there must be some other method I have not implemented. Okay. See these codes is the problem. I am supposed to, because this is where the presenter wants to tell us whether we should display the budget picker or not. So we need to define an internal property that we call is a boolean. We call it show budget picker. Inside it here, we say is equals to true. Here is equals to false. So let me run it. Sorry, expected. All right. Okay. Still asking for. Okay. Um, what I can do here is adjust any code in the presenter. Otherwise, what I've noticed is that why should okay, transaction should not be selected at the point of initialization. I have an issue with that. I will leave it out for now. This code should just be about filling the UI. So why do you want to set the transaction? The transaction is selected at this stage. The amendment I just made now has nothing to do with the framework. It was just in the presenter. So, okay. So everything seems to be in perfect condition now. Okay, this one we've not implemented it, but the UI is bringing data now. So we'll go and in the next video now we'll look at the on the select of this. You see this one has opened, but it has not populated the UI for this. So we'll see you in the next video.